What areas of leadership are opportunities for growth? Are you an entrepreneur looking to step into leadership and you have fears or challenges and you want to become a more effective leader? Look, we have you covered. This is a common concern for most entrepreneurs once they realize the business is getting bigger than them and they have to stretch beyond themselves to improve their leadership skills and motivate a team. I'm LizJSimpson, founder of The Big Money Movement, accompanied by
Cheryl Parks
and Heather Petherick,
our esteemed coaches at The Big Money Movement, where we help women entrepreneurs secure corporate clients. And let me say, when we talk about what areas of leadership are opportunities for growth, what do we agree? All of them. All of them are opportunities for growth. I mean, leadership is just... it is a call, a responsibility, a role that anyone can step into regardless of title. But I will say I think there are some distinct challenges or areas of opportunity for entrepreneurs specifically, right? So first and foremost, I think that leadership is one of those journeys that will just demand you to stretch in many different areas.
Yes.
Yeah. And I just think you have to lean into it. One of my favorite, phrases that I lean on is Carol Dweck's idea of a growth mindset.
Yes.
Right? And that really resonates with me because I come from a sales background, and my time in sales was all about individual contributor, right? I know in today's day and age, there's more about team selling. That wasn't the case when I was in corporate. So it was like, I'm going to be Jordan on the court. I'm the ball hog because, I'm like trying to get all these points. And so that was what I focused on and what I took pride in. And so because I was an individual contributor, I'll never forget there was one leadership role I went up for and I didn't get it. And the feedback that they gave me, it's so interesting how we hold on to narratives, right? It was like a flicker in time. But for years since then, I told myself, I'm not meant to be a leader. I'm just a great individual contributor. If someone wants points on the board, I'm the person to do it, but I'm not good with people. And that is a narrative that I held on to, right? And so then when it came to my business and needing to grow my business, I was like self-sabotaging. Like, oh, okay, this is starting to get beyond you. Stifle that growth so you can keep control over it. And so what was really freeing for me, I talk about Gary Vee, says a lot about just like I say, bloom where you're planted. Yes. And just he as a leader, I feel like embodies imperfect leadership. I can be a great leader because I care, but not because I'm perfect, not because I got straight A's, not because I'm like this unique superhuman, but because I'm choosing to be an intentional leader. And tying it back to Carol Dweck and growth mindset, the idea of a growth mindset is that the IQ I was born with is not the IQ that has to define me for life, right? It can be improved, right? And so realizing that as human beings, we don't have to tie ourselves to a narrative. We are a growth in progress. Yeah. And we can evolve and we can be intentional about the ways that we want to grow. And coaching women entrepreneurs in the Big Money Movement, I see my self-sabotaging behavior and many of the women we serve, right? Yeah. And the way that'll show up is that we'll have women who will say, I don't want a business where there's a team. And there's nothing wrong with that answer. But when we dig deeper, for a lot of the women, it's not really that they don't want a team. It's that they don't think they would be good leaders. Yes. Right. So they're trying to detour what they believe their inadequacies are, yes. Right?
Or downsize their vision, right? Because they don't think they'd have the capacity to lead anything bigger.
100%. Yeah. And so I think first and foremost, it's realizing that leadership is not something you're born into. No. It's something that you grow, evolve, and you lean into, and it can change over time.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk about leaning into. I think one of the mistakes as leaders or aspiring leaders we make is that we shame ourselves for our weaknesses, right? How many times do we agonize, obsess over where our gaps, our lacks are, and we think, see, I told you so. I was never meant to be a leader. That's why I'm failing. instead of what is so much more empowering and powerful is to focus on, like, take a fair inventory. There are things that each of us are exceptional at, right? Whether it is our brain wiring, our experience, or some magical combination of those things. But there are always things as an individual that we will excel at, that it's easier for us than others. And when we focus on leveraging that and using that as a launching pad or a springboard for our flavor, our fingerprint of leadership, that's when things really start to take off. Because guess what? As leaders, we always have the power to delegate and delegate away our weaknesses. Because I'll call myself out. I am not a numbers girl. So I was never so happy as when I was first able to delegate the financial function of my business. And that's when, thank goodness, business took off, because someone else had a skill set that I was woefully lacking in. And suddenly we were making stronger, more sound financial decisions in the business. And it was such a relief for me, and it gave me permission to double down on what I knew I was good at, which was painting a vision, communicating to my team. And when we stop shaming ourselves ultimately for our weaknesses, delegate those to others where my weakness is their strength, that's when their business becomes stronger and ultimately really blossom as a leader. So stop shaming and lean in on your weaknesses, or lean in on your strengths. And part of this, I think, tied to this is a third element, or opportunity in leadership growth, that I wanted to mention, which is learning to love our failures. I mean, we can learn through success of what works, but how much more visceral is the learning when we fall flat, when we stumble?
Those are the things I really remember.
Right? Right? Failure is sometimes painful, but it's a beautiful teacher. And one of the things I know we've talked about inside of the Big Money Movement conversation container with members is oftentimes the women coming into our community, they have a measure of success because they are very good at what they do, right? They are often seen as thought leaders or experts in their body of work. They're not used necessarily to failing. It's not something that they embrace. But when we learn to embrace the learnings that come sometimes, vividly through failure, and give ourselves grace that failing isn't the end, it is just accelerated learning. Like when we can fall in love with our failures and ourselves, our own folly, wow, these two things of really leaning into our strengths, forgiving and learning from our failures, boy, those are beautiful grounds for opportunity and growth in leadership. What do you think, Cheryl?
I think part of the Big Money Movement's unique value is that it's a safe space to come in and say, you know what, I made a mistake. Or I thought I was supposed to be going this way, but now I'm over here and I'm thinking maybe I should have gone that way. I should have zigged instead of zagged, right? So I really like this space, and I love the community and that they feel confident and comfortable bringing their problems, their failures, their missteps to the group to get additional support, direction, adjustment, all of the things that will make you stronger. And again, so that you're not practicing on your prospects, because that's the key. And then to add to that, there is this celebration of decision-making muscle.
Oh, okay.
So literally, you've made decisions, and you need to celebrate that you are making decisions, and you're in imperfect action, and you're going for what you believe is accurate and true at that moment. And then as you learn more, Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better. Right?
Yes.
So when you know better, you do better. And that's what happens when you surround yourself with investment-minded, action-taking people. And that's what the Big Money Movement means, specifically for me, but for a lot of our members. And I see that. One of the cases that comes to mind would be we've had a couple of specific members. I will call them Brianna and Candy again. We'll use Candy again. And both of them had something similar where they were in a hiring scenario where it was ready for their businesses. They came in and they said, it's time for me to start hiring my team. And they both went forward and I don't remember the names I just used, but one of them, that quickly, one of them went forward and let's say she was hiring prospectors, right, to help with the sales effort. And she realized that instead of getting prospectors, she got relationship builders.
Right.
Yeah, like business development.
Completely, totally two different brain sets and roles, and they're motivated by two different things.
Yes.
She had to make a decision quickly, and she didn't shame herself or fault herself. She just said, I didn't realize that part, right? And she made decisions, and she was able to actually reroute one of the people, and then the other person, I believe, may have opted out and said, oh, this isn't a great role. And so she's really just building that decision-making muscle. And then the second person, again, was really ready to hire someone in operations, flexed muscle, hired, thought she had the right person, got in about 30, 45 days, and it was like, things started going a little slower.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of the intangibles. And she realized that, oh, I've got to look for the intangibles, like the person can take that can act, doesn't need to take direction, right? And can step forward and get things done.
Yeah.
So things like that you learn, and like I said, when you know better, you do better.
That's right.
Yeah.
One of the things that is coming up from all of what we're sharing in terms of learning opportunities in leadership is that these learning opportunities ultimately inspire a woman to be more self-compassionate, right?
Yes.
To have a greater sense of love, to not shame themselves for their weaknesses, not beat themselves up for a decision that maybe they would do differently next time, and to really learn to love the failure and learn through it. And that type of leader that has real self-compassion and true self-awareness and empathy for others on their growth path, that's the type of leader that truly inspires.
Right.
My goodness. And when I'm listening to you describe this, in my head, I'm like, what an incredible human being,
Yeah.
right? Like, the opportunity for growth is that leadership is, again, it's not just a title that comes from your company, it's a way of life. How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
And so it's an opportunity to grow and evolve into just an incredible human being who leaves a legacy and inspires those they touch. It makes me go back to Marianne Williamson's quote where she says, you know, when you let your own light shine, you unknowingly give others permission to do the same. And that's why I get excited about leadership, because it's those who sometimes they're unaware that they're perceived as leaders, and sometimes they know there's an esteemed title they hold. But the way that they navigate life becomes a blueprint, a model of inspiration for so many others. That being said, now that you've stepped into leadership, you might be ready to get some more money. So let's talk about how to get corporate clients. Join us in the next video. Click that right now, and we'll dive into how to get corporate clients for your business. We'll see you there. Bye.